Good morning on this dark morning for Israel, for the Jewish people all over the world, and for people of kindness and empathy and moral values and compass anywhere in the world. I turned and tossed so much last night thinking about Yarden Bibas, about him finding out that his wife and his children were murdered in captivity, of him thinking about his wife's final time as she was transferred alive, abducted as a hostage with her two little children, Ariel, who was 4, and Kfir, who was 4 months. What's going through his mind and how much pain there must be. In a week that the Torah tells us so much about empathy, we read and we hear and we see and we watch the most barbaric, inhumane animals, imbeciles that exist. When the bodies were transferred in Gaza, and Israel had to take them through x-rays and had to bring special sappers to make sure they weren't booby-trapped. They left them with locks that were locked. Israel had to break the locks because they didn't give them keys. They paraded the bodies through Gaza. People brought, innocent civilians in Gaza brought their little children to watch the transfer. And the chief rabbi, the military, chose one chapter of Psalms to be said, to be read at the transfer, at the ceremony that took place in Gaza. And it's chapter 83 in Psalms. And it begins like this. As a song of Psalms by Asaph. O God, do not be silent. Do not be quiet and do not be still. O God, for behold, your enemies are in uproar. And those who hate you have raised their head. They plot deviously against your nation and conspire against those sheltered by you. They say, come, let us sever them from the nationhood, and the name of Israel will be remembered no more. For they conspire with a unanimous heart. They made a covenant against you. Those are the words that were read at the transfer from chapter 83 in Psalms. Then King David says, and the Psalms finishes like this. Fill their faces with shame, and they will seek your name. O Lord, let them be ashamed and terrified forever. Let them be disgraced and perish, and they will know that you, whose name is the Lord, are alone, most high over all of the earth. I think about this chapter of Psalms as I try to think about words that I could say or that we could fathom at this day when there really is no words. On a day when, as the portion tells us, when Aaron lost his 2 children, Vayidoim Aaron was silent because there was no words that could express the pain, the sorrow, the anger, the hurt that we are feeling today. In this week's Torah portion, the Torah speaks about empathy, and the Torah warns us against hurting an orphan and a widow or a widower. And the Torah says, because if torture, you will torture. They will scream to me. And Shemoya Eshma, I will hear. God warns us against hurting a widow and a widower. Think about Yarden Bibas, the widow. Think about these little children who might have been orphans even before they were killed. And the rabbis ask, why does the Torah use the words repetitively? If torture, you will torture. Then scream, they will scream, and hear, I will hear. And the rabbis say, because when you hurt an orphan, a widow, a widower, it's a double pain. The first pain that you kill, that you murder, that you hurt. The second pain is because they have no one to cry out to. The widower says, if I had a wife that could listen to me, if I had children I could cry to, if I had parents I could beg to, but I don't even have that, so it's a double pain. The first pain is that you kill, that you murder, that you hurt, that you kidnap. And the second pain is that it reminds them of who else they lost. Who does Yarden Bibas cry to? His wife was murdered. His 2 little children were killed. His in-laws were killed. 3 generations were wiped out in one swoop by murderous terrorists. But how does the verse finish? V'chara api eschem. V'chara api v'harakti eschem. My wrath will be against you and I will kill you. V'hayu nisheichem almones. Your wives will be widows. Uvenechem uveneseichem, and your children will be orphans. We ask for retribution from God. We don't ask for forgiveness. Forgiveness we ask from Shiri, from Kfir, from Ariel, from Yarden. We ask them forgiveness that we didn't protect their family, that we weren't there for them. But from Hamas, we ask God to pour his wrath, to kill and to murder every single one of those animals. Those who did it, those who celebrated it, and those who assisted in it. Because they're not innocent, each one of them. But we take solace. We take solace in a nation, in a country that is united in pain. You watched as they brought the bodies to central Israel for forensic. And you watched every single place they drove through, hundreds of Israelis crying, holding Israeli flags, singing the national anthem, Atikva, begging for forgiveness. I watched as hundreds of innocent civilians stood on the road and said, Slicha, they screamed. We're sorry that we let you down. Your little 4-month-old angelic baby, your 4-year-old cute little boy who didn't understand how a person growing up in such a beautiful country with so many loved ones around them could be forsaken, could be forgotten, could be left the way they are. We have to do soul searching. Today we're letting out hundreds of terrorists, live terrorists who murdered, who killed. I saw Hillel Fuld wrote on social media, today they let out the murderer of his brother Ariel Fuld. Ariel Fuld was a remarkable hero of Israel who volunteered to protect his yishuv, his place of living in Judea and Samaria. And while he was watching to protect and saving lives, a terrorist came and shot him. And while he was shot, and before he died with his last strength, he killed the terrorist. His last strength. And today they let his terrorists out. And his brother said, my brother Ariel, Hashem Yikum Dama, may God avenge his blood. He saved people when he was alive. He saved people while he was being killed. And he's saving people while he's dead by his terrorists going out to bring back bodies and people. Let's never forget that Israel is trading terrorists to bring our bodies home. Something Hamas would never do for their people. Their people are insignificant to them. Israel sacrifices so much just to bring these bodies home. But that chapter of Psalms that they wrote is what we pray for today. We pray for our nation to have unity, to have strength, to have courage, to be united together, to remember that no matter what we do, we could never stop the war until every last Hamas terrorist is destroyed and killed. Because these people are animals. May God comfort the entire nation of Israel and Yarden Bibas and all the family. And may He wipe away tears, Umacha Hashem Dima. And may we usher in an era, a messianic era of redemption with the coming of Mashiach. Have a great day.